Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. In my hands is The Walking Dead Deluxe, number 11. Pretty interesting comic issue. Kind of one of the key issues of the series, I think, that really starts to bring together the drama, the zombie threat, and the interpersonal stuff that's going on with the series that made it really, really solid. So, for those who don't remember, this is the issue that takes place on the Green Farm and where the big whole barn incident goes down. Now, what's really, I think, kind of interesting is that, even Robert Kirkman says, hey, I remember this happening over multiple issues. No, it's like a one-and-done issue. Really kind of fascinating. So the story is by Robert Kirkman. Charlie Adlard is the artist. Dave McCaig is the colorist. Rus Wooton is the letterer. So like I said, this is the kind of infamous issue where the issue or the problem of a bunch of zombies in the barn at the Green Farm kind of comes to a head. It's a really interesting issue in that you get Rick and Herschel kind of arguing as to like what to do with them, and it's kind of fascinating to reread going over this. Now, when this originally came out, we had economic issues. There was threats of terrorism, or at least hype of terrorism threats, and it's interesting is that like series like this tend to come out during times of uncertainty. We're all these years later, and we're all again in a time of uncertainty when this is coming out. Instead of economic issues, I mean there are economic issues, but they're kind of overlapped by COVID. And I think it's kind of fascinating to go back and read this with that perspective, with the COVID perspective. And there's a really interesting back and forth between Herschel and Rick about what to do with the zombies in the farm. And Herschel's like, we don't know anything about this. You don't know. These people could be healing. There might be a cure. Like, we don't know. Why are you just killing them? These are possibly human beings, and I'm not going to be responsible for for what happens to them if there's a cure type of thing. And I think that's really kind of interesting because it is an attitude that exists now with COVID of we don't know. There's a lot of people who have a kind of one perspective or, a perspective of doing something one way. And, there are so many people whose response is like, we don't know. We don't know what the vaccine's going to do. I've got my first shot. I've got my second shot coming relatively soon. But, understandably, people are afraid of something new like that. We don't know when things, if we were to open things up, what's going to happen. We don't know if we shorten distances that we should be, what's going to happen. Like, we don't know. I, myself, as a parent, am afraid and don't know what the impact of my 2.5-year-old daughter is going to be if she is infected with it. Like, she might be fine in the short term. She might have issues years down the road. We don't know. So I think it's kind of fascinating that Kirkman throughout the series, through 11 issues, has really reflected a lot of the thoughts that are and issues that are actually happening in a pandemic, in a massive outbreak. He's shown that I think he's just very adept and very smart in his observations, and really kind of foretells a lot of what we're experiencing. And to me, it's making the series even better. Like I'm loving this second read through with that perspective. There's tons of drama with this issue. I think it's an amazing one. That it is basically a one and done. I think this issue really encapsulates a lot of what this series is about, and it's just, I think it's an issue that resonates with me all these years later after reading it. The thing that I actually stands out, it's kind of funny, is that you can also see Kirkman stumbling a little bit in his writing. He has a tick in this where he keeps on referring to people as man. Like, hey man, like, what's up man? I'm just trying to talk to you, man. Man keeps on being used over and over and over and over, and it actually almost becomes like a verbal writing tick for him. And I think that's really kind of interesting. It's something I don't know if I noticed when I first read it. It definitely sticks out now, and I don't even know if he notices it because I don't think he addresses it in his back notes. And that's one of the cool things about this comic is there are back notes. He goes through his original notes and has some comments on them about some of the things. And, he even says that, like, he thought this was a 2-issue thing. He didn't realize this was a one-and-done story. The other thing that's great about these deluxes is they're colorized. This is the first time we're seeing this series in color. And it definitely adds something. I think this is the first issue where the color hasn't really stood out to me in a negative way. It's not something that is a factor of my reading. It feels very natural. And this is one where we really see, I think, a lot of zombies really well, and kind of get to that gore level stuff, and it's not as overwhelming. It's not as shocking as I thought it would be. It doesn't distract. In ways, it adds some to some things in like small, subtle ways. So I think it's really interesting. I think I'm going to be fascinated to see how that continues, especially as the series gets really over top with the violence at some point. Overall, like if you have never read The Walking Dead, this is fantastic. These issues come out every other week at comic shops. They've got back material that you're only going to get in these issues and not when they're eventually collected. If you are a Walking Dead fan, you got to go back and get this. Rereading this in color is really interesting. Plus, you get Kirkman's notes in it, which I think are really cool. So, as a fan, to go back and reread this, I think is been a wonderful trip back, and I'm looking forward to continuing the series and going through everything. Like, I'm vowing to buy and review everything, so this is going to be pretty fun. So if you want to get this is out in comic shops now. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code. It'll tell if the shop's near you. No shop, no problem. We do have affiliate links. There are affiliate links, so we get a small percentage of that by doing that. You help support our site, so thank you. And speaking of support, I want to say thank you for watching our videos. We always appreciate that. If you're into comics, if you're into Walking Dead, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy. Keep it nice and consistent. Until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.